Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, which is a really interesting one as the shops have just opened and retail is changing once again. Customers have now got options again. The last year, for most of the year, buying online has been the only choice. But once again, some consumers, if they want to, can actually go to the shops. So a great time to look at expectations for consumers, what's going to keep them buying from you online or what will drive them to the shops. And I'm delighted to be joined again by Bobbie and Phil, both from Welcome Bobbie.
Thank you, Chris.
Hi, Chris. Thank you. Hi, everyone.
So, Bobbie, we've got a lot to get through today as normal. So, first off, let's just take a look at what's going on in the shops.
Very interesting.
And in fact, it's a big week because this week the pubs have opened in Scotland again. So people can go shopping, they can go for a drink, they can have lunch, they can go out and have this shopping experience that we've all been missing for the last year. So what's happening with online? Has it gone back to what it was before the pandemic? Is it going to be bigger than ever? What's going on in the world?
Well, certainly, if you look at the latest stats from the Office of National Statistics, and the headlines in the media are that no surprises, since non-essential retail shops opened on April the 12th, some of the online sales have dipped. But that's probably not a surprise. And, like many, I myself included, have missed going out for the shopping experience. So, of course, a lot of people are going to be rushing out as soon as the shops open. I was in Oxford Street on Saturday, but that's because, like I said, I think consumers have missed the shopping experience going into a physical store. And also there's a lot of pent-up demand. But I guess the question on everybody's lips is, is this just a blip, or is this going to, will consumers, as the headline suggests, ditch online shopping once lockdown ends? I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Chris.
Well, I'm in two minds about it because for me, I'm not like you. I've not been shopping since the shops opened. To be honest, I'm not that keen to go shopping, but then I never was that keen in the first place. And lockdown for me has actually trained me to find lots of the things that I might have gone to the shops that I can actually buy online and get them delivered. For me, I'm going to carry on buying online just as much as I ever did, maybe a little bit more. And I think it's going to be different for different people. Some people going to have discovered the convenience of online and just clicking and it turns up the next day, sometimes even the same day, whereas others will be desperate to get out and have a coffee, have lunch, go to a bar, go to the shops, try, touch, feel, and all the things that we used to enjoy. I think the real challenge is not what is consumer behavior going to be, but for those that habitually used to shop online, which I'll be frank, is not me, but there are plenty of people that did. Now they can shop on the high street again. What are online retailers going to do to carry on making the online experience just as attractive, if not more attractive, than actually going to the shops? Because if I'm an online business, forgive me, but my concern is not how well the high street's doing, it's how well my business is doing.
True.
So what I'm really interested in is what do I need to do to keep that share of the consumer spend?
Well, I think before we go on to that, I just want to sort of set the scene a little bit, because one thing you talked about, and you're quite right, COVID has changed our shopping habits, a year on, and some of those habits of shopping online that we've had to adopt during COVID because we had no other options, some of those habits are going to continue. So, that's why the outlook for the e-commerce industry over 2021 was revised from 20% growth to 30% growth. So some of that online spend is going to stick. It's not going to roll back to what it was pre-COVID. So e-commerce will continue to boom, in terms of people spending a greater proportion of their money online rather than in the high street. But let's put this into context, and let's not run away with ourselves. At the end of the day, competition is back, right? The shops are opened, which means that consumers have got far more choice and options. Yes, they are looking for different experiences. They're expecting different things, depending on whether they choose to go to Oxford Street, to a retail park, or they are sitting, on the train, making a purchase on their mobile phone. So they are expecting different things, but competition is back in a number of ways. One, yes, the high street is opened, but also those high street giants have had their eyes open to how important the digital channel is and how important it will continue to be. So, online retailers can expect that those retail giants are also going to be upping their game, investing more in digital channels, improving the website. Case in point, Primark. Primark definitely hurt as a result of COVID and having to shut its stores. Even though it's recording huge sales since it's opened, it's really now knuckling down to accelerating its digital transformation and opening up its digital channel. Even online, there are some online businesses that stopped trading temporarily through COVID. They're going to be coming back as well. So all this means that competition is back. Online sellers cannot rest on their laurels. But the question, as you say, Chris, is post-COVID, or as McKinsey would say, the new normal, how will online retailers maintain the advantage that they had through COVID? And I'm just going to share with you some of the research that I've been looking at. And I mentioned McKinsey, who now one of the largest global consultants in the world. They've just released a new report only a couple of weeks ago, and they talk about adapting to the next normal being life post-COVID, post-lockdown, and how customer experience is going to be the key to winning the hearts and minds of the customer and being able to, compete against all the other channels and all the other brands who are going to be after the same dollar that you're going to be after. And at the heart of all of that, for the online experience, what customers expect and demand is, of course, ease and speed, convenience and choice. So at the heart of the customer experience, at least for the digital customer, is, of course, ease and speed, convenience and choice. Now, traditionally, a lot of focus has been placed on the online shopping experience, the point at which, a customer comes onto your website, puts items in a basket, and then gets to the checkout. However, over the years, as we've seen through the research that actually GFS have done also with IMRG, is that retailers are beginning to understand and gaining insight into how important the delivery experience is. From the digital consumer perspective, what's paramount to them when they come online to make a purchase is how easy and fast it is to do that and the convenience and choice that it affords. And the same applies when they think about delivery and returns. So what's the new normal for delivery expectations? What are your consumers looking for when they get to checkout and they're thinking about delivery? I've got some stats here which I've taken from two different sources. The first source is a recent survey that went out to over 1,000 UK online shoppers, and that was done by eDelivery, and it was called Leap from Lockdown to Last Mile, which only looked at what customers expected from delivery. The second source is Consumer Home Delivery Survey by IMRG, which we sponsored ourselves back in 2019. And what this clearly shows is that, convenience, delivery choice and convenience is really front of mind when your customer comes to press the button and make that purchase. So when they come to checkout, 66% stated that they would complete their purchase or go with a retailer that offered the broadest range of delivery choices. 50% said that they would abandon their purchase if they didn't see satisfactory delivery options, right? So meaning that if they couldn't see any options that would be convenient for them. And 96% said they would go back and purchase again with the same retailer if they had a positive delivery experience. So what that really tells us is that delivery, choice and convenience at the checkout can make or break a sale. And certainly when we look at the stats, the benchmarks of retailers who are using GFS checkout, on average, GFS checkout customers are probably performing around 16.9% with higher basket conversion rates compared with the standard industry benchmark. And one thing I want to really put out there.
And I can kind of relate to this, Bobbie.
Yeah.
I can relate to this because just last week I did some online shopping with a how to describe it? I don't want to name check them. So let's just say a major DIY store. I wanted some compost for the garden, for the greenhouse.
Yeah.
And I went into their store, and the first thing is they said, okay, there's a minimum £100 order. Now, that was about double the quantity of compost I actually wanted. But I thought, okay, if I got to spend 100 quid, I got to spend 100 quid. But then I went to checkout, and suddenly, having spent 100 quid, they said, actually, it's going to be 30 quid delivery. And I'm thinking, that's like 25% of the total cost is the delivery charge. And I'm sorry, but I abandoned the DIY shopping cart, and I actually went to a different store, Wix, and they'd let me buy 50 quid's worth. Delivery next day via City Sprint, £7.95. And I was just kind of like, if one retailer is going to not only say you can have a minimum 100 quid order, but then sting me for 30 quid carriage, and another one says, what day do you want it delivered? Do you want it tomorrow and it's £7.95 and no minimum? I'm going to go with the £7.95 every time, and just having that reasonable delivery option. I could have understood if they said a minimum 100 quid order. I could also have understood if they said 30 quid delivery. But if they've got a minimum spend and then a high delivery charge, it's kind of like I'm starting to think, what are my options here? And the option was don't shop from the DIY store, go to Wix, and they lost the sale. And the 96%, I can quite honestly, hand on heart say, I'll be going back to Wix in the future.
Yeah, exactly. So because you had a positive delivery experience, and it means that they've not only won the purchase, but they've also won your loyalty. You'll be choosing them over a competitor. One thing I want to knock on the head here, and it really does irk me sometimes, is that there's this myth in the industry that where retailers think that consumers want fast and free, that if you don't offer fast and free, you're not going to get the sale. And I can quite categorically say, as proven through the research we did with IMRG, is that delivery convenience trumps fast and free, okay, every time in a consumer's mind. However, this requires giving customers a wide range of delivery choice and options to pick from. And the reason why I say that, if I give you this example, then it probably explains it a little bit better. So imagine, okay, I've made a purchase. I'm buying something online. Now I know that it's not an expensive item. Say it's 40 quid or something like that. But I know that I'm really busy this week. I'm only going to be working from home one day of the week, and it's only going to be for that morning because in the afternoon I need to go to the dentist, right? So I get to check out and look at the delivery options. Guess what? I'm looking for name day, name timed options. So I'm looking for a delivery option that says, okay, you can name the day and the time when you can get your item delivered, even if it costs me 5 quid. I'm prepared to pay a little bit more because what's important to me at that point is convenience, right? Because of my circumstances. I get to the checkout, but they don't offer nominated day or time slots. What they offer is get it next day, but it's not the day I want it, and I'm not going to be at home the next day. Or they offer free, but free is standard 3 to 5 days, delivery time, working days. And again, that doesn't suit me. So what do you think I'm going to do at that point, Chris?
Well, you're probably going to do the same as I did and go look somewhere else.
Yes. So that's me making the point that delivery convenience trumps fast and free. Okay. So what about returns? What are consumers expecting under the new normal when it comes to returns? So again, this is taken from some research which a number of sources, including some of our own primary research, where we went out to consumers to understand what their expectations were from returns. And no surprise, 92% said they would commit to buying from a retailer again if the returns process is easy. And 59% said they would never shop with a retailer again following a poor returns experience. So no surprises there. However, what was an eye-opener was this stat, that 78% of consumers look at the returns policy when they come to checkout. In other words, when your consumer is at the point of making a purchase, the final decisive factor will be, does it have the delivery options? Do they offer delivery options that a delivery option that's going to be convenient for me, right? And secondly, they will then look at the returns policy to see whether the returns policy is one that they like or not before they make their final decision. And that was very surprising. And 42% of consumers will not purchase from a retailer if they don't like the returns policy. In other words, when they look at the returns policy and they see whether it's 30 days, returns, or if it's free returns, or they are looking at the returns policy to see how convenient and it will be for them to make a return before they make that final decision. So choice and convenience of returns is equally important and deserves equal attention as offering your consumers choice and convenience of delivery. And the reason I say it requires equal attention is because if you remember the survey that I mentioned earlier, the IMRG Home Consumer Delivery Survey, which GFS sponsored, this is a survey that's been going out for the last 12 years. So every year it tracks the same responses from UK households. And one of the questions it always does is it asks about how satisfied consumers are with delivery and how satisfied they are with returns. And it compares both of them. And when we look at the trend at the graph over the years, we can see how much focus retailers have put into improving the online delivery experience. So it's remained quite flat across the years. But then when we look at the line for returns, there's a big gap all the way through. So whilst returns is, that people are cottoning on to understanding that they also need to be putting focus into returns, there is still a big gap between how satisfied customers are with delivery compared with how satisfied they are with the returns experience. So whilst big steps have been made in improving the delivery experience, there needs to be equal attention put into returns, and returns has got a bit further to go before consumers to reach the same level of satisfaction as they have with returns, with delivery, I should say. So this is telling us that being able to offer customers choice and convenience of delivery and returns is really important. And it's important when they're making the decision of whether they're going to buy from you or whether they're going to take their purchase elsewhere. But what does that mean when you think about how, as a retailer, you can turn this into a practical reality? And at the heart of choice and convenience has to be having a multi-carrier strategy, meaning that you are able to offer a broad choice of delivery services and return services and options, which logically means you have to be working with multiple carriers, because no single carrier will be able to satisfy the breadth of services that you're going to need, the coverage of countries that you're going to need, etc. And hand in hand with that means that you also need to have multi-carrier technology to enable you to integrate all these services from different carriers into your platforms, whether that's your e-commerce platform as part of the checkout process, whether that's part of your shipping and dispatch platform so that you can produce compliant labels, etc. The two need to come together. You need multi-carrier services and multi-carrier technology. But as easy as that sounds, or as obvious, I should say, as that sounds, when we asked online sellers what they saw as the top 3 barriers to being able to do that, so that they can offer choice and convenience of delivery and returns. And this, by the way, is taken from a survey that we did with yourself, Chris, with Tamebay online sellers back in 2019.
I thought it looked familiar.
Yeah.
So importantly, probably the people listening to this webinar are the people that actually answered these questions and gave us these stats.
Exactly. So some of these pain points are probably going to, they're going to know what these pain points are. And they were, the first constraint, 62% said, one of the biggest challenges for them would be the time and effort it would take to manage multiple carriers. So imagine, multiple contracts, multiple relationships, multiple invoices, reconcile and pay at the end of the month, so that overhead of managing multiple carriers. The second highest, second equal most, the biggest pain point was the time and cost for new technology, for integrating new technology. Because every time you are going to offer a new service, not only setting up the contract, you also need to integrate that service into your checkout, into your labeling platform, etc. So the time and cost for integrating new services, new technologies, that's a barrier. And finally, if you're going to go multi-carrier, that means you're spreading your budget across different, carriers, and slicing your budget up, which means that you're diluting your buying power and your negotiating rates. So these 3 things combined are what online sellers identified as the 3 biggest barriers for being able to adopt a proper multi-carrier strategy, meaning services and technologies, to enable them to offer broad choice and convenience when it comes to deliveries and returns. However, barriers and challenges can always be overcome. And that leads me nicely into how you can find ways to put this into practice, make it a practical reality. And we're going to show you an example of how this can be done using the right technology and tools. And I'm going to hand over at this point to Phil, who's going to be taking you through that demo. Over to you, Phil.
Thank you, Bobbie. As Bobbie said, what delivery options you offer to customers at the point of checkout and the returns options can make or break that customer's decision to purchase. As research shows, what your customers are looking for when making their purchase is convenience and choice, both in terms of how they get their parcel delivered and how they return it. I want to show you what this can look like in practice by pretending to be a customer who is going to make an online purchase, and that customer then wanting to return that purchase. So you can see how you can offer choice and convenience to your customers and how this can be enabled with technology. I'll be demonstrating GFS Checkout, which enables you to offer a broad choice of delivery options to customers at the point of checkout, and also GFS Global Returns Pro, which helps you do the same when it comes to returns. So for the purpose of today, we have our online shop called Style, which sells a range of furniture, lighting, and household accessories. This is a Magento store, but could just as easily be any of the popular e-commerce platforms, such as Visualsoft, Shopify, or WooCommerce, for example. Our software can integrate with all of these platforms. I'm going to add a couple of items to my basket and proceed to the checkout page. Once I've moved through to the checkout page, it's asking me to enter my contact and delivery address details, which I'll do very quickly now once the checkout page is loaded for me. So I'll enter my contact details and my name, and then I'll enter my postcode. Once these details have been entered, this is where GFS Checkout integrates with your e-commerce platform. This is now checkout, displaying the relevant delivery options available. We can see here that there's a good variety of delivery options available to the customer. Research shows that 1 in 2 customers abandon their order at the checkout page due to the lack of delivery options. So it's really vital that retailers get their delivery options right for their customers, and GFS Checkout will certainly help them to do that. Regarding the delivery options for this order, there's a good variety to choose from. We've got our standard delivery option, which is generally the slowest and cheapest delivery option. We've got the calendar option, choose your day. Now, this could be next working day, it could be a nominated day, or a time delivery service. And this is extremely useful when customers know they will only be at home on certain days. Or we've got the collect your order option. These could be carrier pickup shops or a retailer's click and collect store option, meaning I could collect my order on my way home from the office. As I need my parcel in a rush, I'm going to select the next working day option and complete my order. And if we just follow it through, we'll now, on the summary page, complete our order. GFS Checkout covers delivery for international shipments as well as domestic shipments, and is available with a duties and taxes calculator integrated. Let's see what happens if I add a couple of items to my basket going to a French address. We're just going to move through to the checkout page and enter some French address details. Okay, so I'll just enter my contact details again, and then I'll enter my French address. change the country to France and enter my postcode. You'll see that once the delivery address has been entered, which we've done so now, checkout will return all of the available delivery options for this particular order to France, giving this French customer a wide array of delivery options to suit their needs. So if we run through the delivery options, we've got our standard delivery option, which has an economy, and a plus service, along with the relevant costs, shipping costs, and delivery timescales. We've got a calendar option, which allows a date to be selected. This would generally be through DHL Express, who offer a quick, expedited service to international destinations, but is a great option to be able to have to offer to customers. And we've got our collect your order delivery option. This can be international carrier pickup shops where available, or retailers' international click and collect store options. Very importantly, to go with GFS checkout, there is our duties and taxes calculator integration. If you look here, you can see any relevant taxes, etc., applicable to this shipment. If this order was for delivery to the US, there could be additional information displayed here, calculating local state taxes, providing as much detail as possible to the customer. Our demo site is set up to include the duties in the price of the shipping to the customer. So we're showing a DDP, DTP, delivery tax paid scenario. Our duties and taxes calculator also gives the retailer the option to not include duties up front and to show duty unpaid shipping prices, which means that the customer would then be asked to pay the duties on receipt of their parcel. Whether you decided to present duty paid or duty unpaid shipping prices to your customer, it's always best from a customer experience perspective to be transparent and let the customer know what duties they will be paying so they don't get any hidden surprises. So for our calculator, we've partnered with a company called Avalara. It's a separate integration to GFS checkout and transmits via an API request the relevant customs details, such as HS codes and countries of manufacture for this particular order to the Avalara engine, which then returns the calculations you see displayed on the screen here. So we've now shown what the experience would be like for your customer, and I'd like to now show you the GFS checkout management portal, which I've just opened on screen, which makes it fast and easy for you to set up the rules to control and manage the delivery options which we have just seen. Now, what's great is that GFS checkout has a powerful rule-based engine. It comes pre-configured with over 1,000 delivery options, including over 75,000 click and collect locations across the UK, EU, and rest of the world. All of these delivery options are available for selection against your delivery services. So, for example, if I was to select the standard delivery option and select the edit button here in the portal for this service, as you can see that in the carrier field here and in the carrier service field here, all of these options can be selected for this service, and customers can edit this as and when they wish to against the particular rules and services they want to offer. As the retailer, you can configure it in any way you want and also use it to easily switch services on or off if you needed to. Now, it may be, for example, that your warehouse is going through an extremely busy period, and for a period of time, you don't want to offer the next day time service. So, for example, the delivery by 10:30 a.m. next working day option. If I select that service, click the edit button, and here we have an active field. if I was to untick that, click the update button, this will automatically and in real time remove this delivery option from your website. We also have the ability to be able to show the number of days. So here, 2 to 3 date for the delivery to then be shown on your checkout page. So for example, this service is a 2 to 3 day delivery timescale, and we can control the cost of shipping to also be displayed to the customer. Now, against each service, it's possible to set up rules. So once you have a service selected, if you move down within the checkout portal within this screen, we have a service set up for this particular standard service option, which tells us that for free delivery, if the customer places an order which is over or equal to £20, then shipping is free. A way to incentivize the customer to increase the value of their basket. There's a number of options and values which can be used for these rules. It may not be based on the value of the basket. It could be that if items are over a certain weight, then shipping is a certain cost or has to be a certain carrier or service. It could be that going to a certain receiving country, that you want to use a certain carrier or service, or shipping is a certain cost. So there's a wide variety of options to you, the retailer, that can be used to control all of these rules against the services. Now, GFS Checkout does a lot more than what we have just shown you here, but I wanted to show you how it gives you control and flexibility over your delivery options to the customer, and how easy it is to set up and manage all of these options. So we've seen how GFS Checkout can really help retailers, and how flexible and easy it is to set up and manage rules, so you can offer delivery choice for all types of customers' needs. Let's now look at the returns process. An order that we've previously placed on Style, our demo site, the customer is now wanting to return an item which they purchased. So this is where another of our technology solutions, GFS Global Returns Pro, can be used by a retailer to allow their customers to make a return. You'll see how quick, easy, and seamless it is for customers to make this return. And we'll also see how the customs declaration is generated to ensure duty relief on returned items, to make sure you don't pay taxes twice on the same goods. It's extremely important for retailers to have a seamless and easy to use returns process for their customers. The returns page on a retailer's website can often be the first place a customer will look to see what a retailer's return policy is, and can often put customers off purchasing. There can be so much focus put on the purchase and delivery process for the customer that the returns process can quite easily be overlooked. We are now on the returns portal for Style. It's been branded with the Style logo, so customers get a consistent brand experience. It's multilingual, so if my IP address was actually in France, it would be in French for me, but as I'm in the UK, it's displayed in English for me. All I need to do is enter my order number and postcode and proceed. Once I move through to the second screen within the portal, this now brings up my order on screen, which you can see here. I simply need to tick the item which I wish to return. and select the reason for the return. GFS Global Returns is fully configurable. So as the retailer, you can configure it to your own rules and requirements for managing returns. So we'll select the return reason and click proceed. The carrier return screen is where the customer can choose how they want to return the item. Again, GFS Global Returns Pro is fully configurable to allow setup of different carrier services and charges for different countries. It's possible to set up different options for the customer to return their goods, different carriers, for example, whether it's a collect from home or to drop it at a carrier parcel shop, which is great because customers like choice and convenience. For us, for our demo store, we just have the DHL Express as an option for this return. So we'll go with that and proceed. So I'm then taken to the next screen, which is a breakdown of my contact details and my address for the collection by the carrier. I can then specify a collection date, which I'll say is in a couple of days, and then I can specify a collection time and then proceed and get that all booked in. And that's where the point of doing that is where the interaction with the carrier is done. The consignment is created and the customs details are also passed to the carrier. The carrier label can be generated to screen and also emailed to the customer. So I'll now bring up on screen the returns label, which I've been emailed. And here we have the label. The customer's collection address, where the carrier is collecting the parcel from, is shown here. We have where the parcel is being delivered to here, which is our demo retailer's warehouse. Plus, there's also instructions for the customer explaining what needs to be attached to the outside of the parcel and what needs to go inside. And if we move down past the labels, this is the customs declaration for our order. So on the customs declaration, we have the RGR code, the returns good relief code here. We have the customs procedure code here, plus the retailer's EORI number here. Moving down, we have a number of different pieces of information about the items that were on the order, so the SKU details. So we have the country of manufacture, country of origin here, descriptions of the contents here, harmonized code here, unit weight here, and all of the relevant values. And all of this information is passed to the carrier, DHL Express, to ensure that there's no duties to be paid on the return. So that's now complete. Our return is complete. The customer has submitted their return via the portal. And you can see how it took no more than 2 to 3 minutes for the customer to do that. Like I previously said, we've seen how GFS checkout can really help retailers and how flexible and easy it is to set up and manage rules so you can offer delivery choice for all types of customers. We've also seen GFS Global Returns Pro and how quick, easy and seamless it is for customers to make a return. Let's now take a quick look at a real life example of a retailer that has put GFS checkout into practice. This customer doesn't need any introductions. I'm sure you'll all recognize this Premier League football club. So we're now on their store. I'm very quickly going to add an item to my basket and proceed to the checkout page. So we're now on the product detail page. I will, once it finishes loading, select to add the item to the basket. and then I'll proceed to the checkout page. Let's start with a UK delivery. So we'll enter some contact details, and I will enter my postcode in the UK. First of all, I have the option of a couple of carriers for delivery to home. We have a standard and we have a premium option along with the applicable prices. What this customer has decided to do is to show the carrier in the actual shipping description for the customer, so who will be delivering their parcel. Customers sometimes have their preferences on which carriers they like, and informing the customer who their parcel will be delivered with can really help. We've also got some click and collect options. As my address is near to one of their club shops, or actually near to a few of their club shops, I could choose if I wanted to collect it from one of these club shops, and I can scroll through and see these different options, and they would then refresh on the map for me. If I was to change to be an international customer, let's say Australia, and change my postcode, and for this address, there's no click and collect options. If I open it up, we don't get any options to display. No options, simply due to the destination. But I can have it delivered to my address, this time informing me of the cost, and more importantly as well, the carrier, which is our GFS International option. So that completes the demo of GFS Checkout with duties and taxes calculator and GFS Global Returns, plus a live example for one of our customers. Hopefully this has shown how, with the right software tools and breadth of services, it's possible to give customers a best-in-class delivery and returns experience that makes it fast, easy, and convenient for them to receive and return their parcels. I shall now hand back over to Chris and Bobbie.
Thanks so much, Phil. That was amazing. But I have got a couple of questions, and I think you've spoken enough, Phil. I think it's Bobbie's turn to answer these questions. So the first question, Bobbie, is Phil gave us that wonderful example of how easy it is to make a return from France. But if I've got customers in the UK, can I still use GFS Global Returns Pro just for my UK customers?
Yes, you can. It works. It's for both international as well as domestic. So yes, that was easy, Chris. Another one?
Fantastic. And the next question, we were talking about the reasons why retailers, specifically the people on this webinar, don't offer all of these options. And I hate to say it, but one of the biggest reasons is not just the complexity of software, it's the cost. And the one thing that Phil didn't mention is how much this GFS Checkout and Global Returns Pro is going to cost me to implement as a retailer. So what does it cost?
The short answer to that is the cost is negligible. In other words, our technology, GFS technology, so the tools you've just seen, Checkout and Global Returns Pro, but all the rest of our enterprise carrier management suite, that comes with our multi-carrier services, which goes back to what I said earlier, Chris, is that we try to make it as easy as possible and affordable as possible for consumers to have the right mix of multi-carrier services and the tools which at the end of the day are just going to enable you to be able to offer these options. But you need to have both services themselves and the tools come as part of the GFS service.
Oh, so if I'm using your services, then I get these tools for practically free.
Yeah, the only charge, yes, the GFS tools are free. There is a nominal charge for Global Returns Pro and also for checkout, because though we partner with third-party technology partners in both of those products. So with those two only, there are small transaction fees.
Fantastic. And I know you mentioned one of those partners was Avalara, for instance, for the customs. So if I'm only selling to UK customers, I'm guessing I don't even need to pay that, and it's pretty much free for the global checkout.
Exactly. You get two for the price of one.
Fantastic. Now, if someone's interested, because this is a really great solution, I think, gfsdeliver.com/contact-us to find out more. So I think this has been a really timely webinar this week with the shops newly opened. And I think it's just worth emphasizing one more time that a lot of consumers over the past year, the one thing they've been missing is the choice of where they shop. They've pretty much had to shop online, but now they've got that choice of whether they shop online or go to the high street. And also with high street retailers opening back up again, they've got the choice of things like convenient click and collect on the high street from the retailers' real estate, as well as online delivery. And I think it really is time to step up the offering that online retailers are giving to consumers, because if they don't have that choice of both the delivery and the returns, then they may go to an alternative, a high street retailer. They may go to a physical store. They may do click and collect. I think the free ride that we've had over the last year for online retailers gone, and now we really have to compete. So I think you'd agree, Bobbie. It's time to step up our service.
It's time to step up on the delivery and returns experience, because, as you said yourself, Chris, with the high street now reopening, with consumers now moving about, leaving their homes, going back to their busy lives, it's, their expectations are going to be stepping up again to what it was pre-COVID, which boils down to choice and convenience.
And not necessarily fast and free. It's much more important to offer the delivery at the time and place that the consumer wants, whether that be at home or from a local pickup store. But it's got to be at their convenience, not at the retailer's convenience. So I want to thank you both, Bobbie and Phil. Thank you for that fantastically in-depth demonstration. And just a quick reminder, if people do want to get in touch, then the web address is gfsdeliver.com/contact-us. So thank you, Bobbie. Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.